know there's a lot of videos on this channel that have aged like milk that didn't go in the fridge, but I feel pretty confident about this one, and because there doesn't seem to be much of a penalty for me going back on my word, you guys keep watching for some reason. Thank you. I'm very grateful, but I'm also very confused. So in today's video, I'm explaining why, at least with all of the knowledge I have at this time, I'm pretty convinced I'm not upgrading this year. Let's begin. The primary reason I don't think I'm going to be upgrading to any of the new iPhone 17s this year is because I didn't even really want to upgrade last year. You guys scroll back and remember my review with the 16 Pro Max. It was kind of a weird roundabout of things that aligned. Overall, I was kind of disappointed with the performance of the 16 Pro Max. I got really hyped and excited once I found out about the studio grade microphones they put on this thing, and the truth was that was a bunch of marketing baloney, and I was also very excited to see how iOS was going to take full advantage of the camera control button, only to find out it's a complete waste of time and money. I pretty much never use it. There's so many better ways to activate the camera. For me, it's the action button, or of course you can just swipe on the lock screen. And so now basically camera control is just there to confuse people when they're zooming. I personally find pinching to zoom so much better, but it was coupled with the sponsorship from Taurus, so they were like, we'll cover the price of the phone, and that's very unusual for me. Normally I don't even do sponsorships, but the main motivation behind it was my wife's phone was getting old. She was still rocking an iPhone 10 and it was showing its age, and I was tired when we were traveling of having to pack around a lightning cord and a USB-C cord. So that just seemed like the cheapest possible solution at the time. Let a channel sponsor cover the price of a new phone, and then the 15 Pro, which honestly was still a great phone. I had very little issues with that device and I would happily still be using it today had I have known the studio grade mics were not that good, or if Taurus didn't want to cover the price of the phone, I probably could have kept using it no problem. But my wife was due for an upgrade, and you know, if we were just gonna buy her a second-hand iPhone refurbished or something like that, it probably still would have cost more money. So now she's got the 15 Pro, it's working fine. She even uses the Apple Intelligence cleanup feature here and there, and I'm just left with the big 16 Pro Max. Great camera and everything, but honestly not that different from the 15 Pro. And from everything I've read surrounding the iPhone 17 series, nothing that I've covered or read about, whether it be faster wireless charging, who cares, I dock it at the end of the night. If I want to charge fast, I plug it into a USB-C cable, but I don't even use the telephoto lens on my phone that often. I mean, it occasionally comes up, but it still looks great, even with the 5x lens, and I don't personally see myself being that interested in just a 48 megapixel zoom, which lets me zoom in even further. Honestly, 5x is often a little too far for me. Maybe they bring back 3x, but again, it's just not a big enough deal to justify upgrading an entire new phone generation. And even with all the talk of the 17 Air, there's just a lot of built-in downgrades with that. No ultra-wide lens, which I actually do use more regularly than the telephoto, and that's honestly a great example of why I'm not that excited for an upgraded telephoto lens just going to 48 megapixels, because they already updated the ultra-wide lens on the 16 Pros to now be 48 megapixels, and I didn't even find it that much better. I still feel like the main sensor, you know, the 1x option, that's still the cleanest. That one still looks the sharpest. That's my default lens. Even when you punch in on it a little bit, I'm about 1.5x right now as I'm recording this video. It still looks pretty good, and I do use my phone a lot for work. I do use the camera constantly, but I'm sorry, there's just not that many notable upgrades that I think will make a difference in the daily life, even with the front-facing camera, which is rumored to go up to 24 megapixels. Again, they're not going to increase the size of the lens all that much because it's stuck on the dynamic island. They can't give it a camera bump like they like to grow the bump every year on the back. So I think it'll mostly just come up with pixel peeping, that front-facing camera upgrade. I don't think it will come up in day-to-day use. And I'm happy to report, even though it's, you know, mid-July right now, my 16 Pro Max, despite being used for all of my social media management and being used as a designated camera for sometimes 3 or 4 videos a day, still has 100% battery health. So for the most part, it's a pretty reliable experience, although I am sad to say I'm on the public build of iOS 18, okay? No betas on this phone, and yet there are still many times where I want to get a photo or a video of something quickly, and the camera just goes completely black. Like, I activate the camera, try to launch it through the app, or try to launch it through camera control or the action button, and just nothing pops up, and I have to close the app, shut the phone off, restart it again to actually get it to start recording. And I just think that's a little ridiculous that I would spend $1,200 $500 on a phone and still get kind of bugs like that interfere with your ability to capture what's around you. I was like, I thought this is the one thing you're supposed to be good at. And please don't try to talk me into, oh, Drew, you need 12 gigs of memory for it to launch faster. Yeah, that's okay. I'd rather just lose the shot occasionally than spend all that money again. I will certainly review the new iPhone 17s. Don't worry about that. I don't do the big tech YouTuber thing where I buy like every single size and color, but this year I'm thinking, depending on what surprise features they have in store, although I don't think they're going to surprise me much this year, I'm probably just going to check out the 17 Air because that seems to be the star of the show. Nothing other than just a slightly bigger camera bump sounds that interesting with the 17 Pro Max. I don't know if it's worth buying and reviewing on this channel because it's just going to be so darn close to the 16 Pro Max, and I already feel pretty disappointed with some of the features that I thought were going to make a bigger difference on my 16 Pro Max with the audio recording and stuff like that, which ended up being a complete joke. So I'm not trying to say there's no surprises. You know, Apple might come up with some external monitor stage manager type feature, but you want to know the truth? I'm traveling so much these days, I'm barely using my dedicated external monitor as is. And last year, my excuse was my wife was ready for an upgrade. Now she's fine with her 15 Pro. If anything, she doesn't want like a whole new phone, but she would like some more storage, in which case it would be far cheaper for her to just pick up like a 256 gig 15 plus. That's only going to be like $500, which is less than half the price of me upgrading to a whole bigger size. So I've been wrong before. I've flip-flopped many times in the past, so you can all flash this video in my face if I end up going against my word. But honestly, all of these reasons aside, I am now running so many different social media accounts for my new Tello Trucks job that it's such a pain in the butt every time I try to set up a new phone. I have to have two-factor authentication on all of these accounts, and I have to straight up ask my boss to send me the 6-digit code to log in to all of these accounts, and I just don't want to bother my boss just because I feel like upgrading to a new phone. Like, that's not a great reason to me. So that alone is probably going to keep me on the 16 Pro Max for another year. And the other creaseless elephant in the room is there's supposedly a folding iPhone coming out next year. And to me, just the idea of Apple actually making a foldable, I don't even care what it costs. Some are saying it's going to be $1,800. Some are saying it's going to be $2,500. Some reports are saying it's not going to have a crease. I don't even care about all those details, just for the sake of Apple doing something different from the usual iPhone refresh, where the camera is slightly different, the bezels are slightly thinner, and they come up with some gimmicky party trick feature that all the YouTubers talk about for a week and then never use again. I'm excited for Apple to just break the usual formula next year, and I don't have an iPad currently, but this sounds like the kind of device that might be the perfect compromise of mini iPad that is also an iPhone with a great camera. So if I'm being honest, the folding iPhone sounds way more interesting to me than just, you know, slightly better zoom on the 17 Pro or slightly thinner chassis on the 17 Air, which we can talk about because everyone I'm sure is going to have a very unique and interesting take unboxing it. It's so light! Oh my gosh, look how thin it is! You're probably going to watch 800 channels all say the same thing. That's fine. The folding phone at least sounds like it could genuinely change the way I use my phone on a regular basis. Split screen multitasking, and as cool as iPads are, I just don't want another device to charge. I already have to pack around my MacBook, my Apple Watch, my iPhone, and my AirPods. I don't want another device to add to my bag to have to charge, so if I could just get slightly bigger screen and have some multitasking going there, and then when I don't need the bigger screen, fold it up and have a pretty decent size iPhone that can slip into my pocket. I used to not be in love with that idea, but I think the technology has really been refined, and I think Apple will likely get the software right better than ever. Will it be running iOS or iPadOS? I don't know, but I'm very curious to see the software implementation on Apple's end, and whatever they end up calling that phone, iFold or iPhone Ultra, whatever, it's probably going to be expensive. So I would rather save my money this year and hold out for the big upgrade next year, and hopefully they have a way for me to use the outside screen and rear-facing camera simultaneously, because just like right now, I use my iPhone a lot for work and I have it mounted on my tripod, but I can't exactly see where I'm standing or how I look. So it would be kind of cool to just have a viewfinder that I could flip up towards me, and that would impact my day-to-day life immensely more than a 48 megapixel telephoto lens. So that's where my head's at. Where do you guys fall this year? Does anything in the iPhone 17 lineup sound like a must-have for you? Do you need that thinner, lighter phone? Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. It seriously helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you in the next one.